Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining in. DC TechNet is your own channel, so do like, share and subscribe. It motivates us to create new content. So let's see what we have today. Today we will again continue our Windows Server update services, and today will be part 2. And we will discuss the basic terminologies and the concepts in WSUS. So we believe that if you know the basic terms and the concepts, life will be more easier comparatively. So let's see what we have on the agenda today. So we'll understand what Root WSUS Server is. We understand Upstream WSUS Server, Downstream WSUS Server, and we will conclude today's video on WSUS Server Hierarchies, and we'll understand what is a replica mode and what is an autonomous mode in WSUS. So before going ahead, let us understand two terms, and those are upstream and downstream, which are frequently used in the world of WSUS. So upstream and downstream describes the flow of the updates. So all updates flow from upstream to downstream. So let's take an example over here. So we have two WSUS servers, server 1 and server 2, and the updates flow from server 1 to server 2. So this arrow can be called as downstream and this is upstream. So next terminology, Root WSUS Server. So Root WSUS Server is also called as a primary WSUS server, and any server which directly synchronizes updates from Microsoft updates is called as a Root WSUS Server. So it synchronizes updates directly from Microsoft. So it's somewhat like this. We have internet, Microsoft update servers on the internet, and we have a server named server 1, which is an on-premises server, and we configured WSUS on this server, installed and configured WSUS, Windows Server Update Services, on server 1, and we configured in such a way that it will get updates from Microsoft update servers, which is on the internet. So server 1 can be called as a Root WSUS Server. So next terminology is Upstream WSUS Server. So an Upstream WSUS Server is a server that receives update from Microsoft server and has a downstream server, can be called as an upstream server. So any WSUS server which has a downstream WSUS server can also be called as a upstream WSUS server. So let's take an example. So we have Microsoft update servers, we have server 1, this is our Root WSUS, and again upstream. Now we have another server, server 2, and server 2 is configured to take updates or synchronize updates from server 1. So server 1 can be called as an upstream WSUS server for server 2. So there can be another scenario over here. We have another server named server 3, and this server 3 is configured to synchronize updates from server 2. So we can say that server 2 is upstream WSUS server for server 3. So this is the basic concept behind upstream and downstream WSUS servers. So let's understand downstream WSUS server now. So downstream WSUS server is a server that receives updates not from Microsoft updates but from a connected upstream server. Very important. It doesn't receives any updates from Microsoft, but it's connected to some other WSUS server and it is synchronizing updates from some other Microsoft, say some other WSUS server. Let's take an example over here. We have server 10, which is our upstream server, and we have server 20 over here. And server 20 is synchronizing or getting updates from server 10. So server 20 can be called as a downstream WSUS server because of the flow of updates. Now let us understand a WSUS hierarchy. So we have two hierarchies over here, replica mode and autonomous mode. Let us understand, say one by one. Let us understand replica mode WSUS. So in say WSUS, replica mode is a configuration that say allows a downstream server to mirror the updates and computer groups and of an upstream server. So it's a complete replica of any upstream server. So a downstream server is a replica of the upstream server. That's the reason it's called as a replica mode. So all the computer groups and everything is replicated to the replica server. So in a scenario that uses replica mode, we typically have a single upstream server and we can have more than one downstream replica servers which can spread out across the organization. So this configuration is typically used when we want we want to control everything. We'll discuss this in next slide. So as an administrator, we approve say updates and create computer groups on the upstream server, which are then automatically replicated to the replica servers. And if your WSUS server is running replica mode, you will be able to perform only limited administration capabilities on the servers. So let us take a real life example of replica mode. Let's say we have our head office in New York and we have a Root WSUS, the upstream server, which is synchronizing updates from Microsoft. And let's say we have 3 remote offices, Sydney, Paris and Singapore, and we want to control all the updates in all 3 locations. So in such scenarios, and we have all the systems, computers, say servers, workstations in every location. So in such scenario, we will put a replica mode WSUS server in every location, and we will configure the groups on our New York server, which will be replicated on Sydney, Paris and Singapore, and then we will perform say updates. We will approve the updates accordingly. For example, let's say last Sunday of every month, we will patch all say domain controllers in Sydney location, and so on and so forth. So we will be controlling everything from our New York location. So in such scenarios, we will be using replica mode. We don't want to hand over the administrative tasks to anyone else in the location. So let us understand autonomous mode. So an autonomous an upstream WSUS server shares updates with its downstream servers during synchronization, but does not approve status or computer group information. So only the updates will be synchronized to the downstream servers, nothing else. No computer groups or no approvals. So autonomous mode WSUS servers must be administered separately. That's the reason the name autonomous. So it has complete autonomy to administer the server. It's not like Replica. So let's take a real life example over here. Again, we have a head office in New York, and we have a data center in San Jose. And we know that there are hundreds of servers, workstations, database servers, web servers, racks and stacks in our data center. So it will not be feasible, it will not be feasible to configure a replica mode over here. Okay, it will not be advisable to configure a replica mode. Instead, we will configure a downstream server over in San Jose, but it will be autonomous mode. So all the groups and approvals will be done from this server, which is present on our present in the San Jose data center. So only updates will be synchronized between New York and San Jose. We have to manage the San Jose WSUS server separately, so we can create a group exclusively for domain controllers, for database servers, for file servers, for web servers, so on and so forth. And we need to log on to the server and we need to manage the updates over there. And it's not the case that you just configure one server over there. We can have multiple autonomous servers over there. So if your data center is big enough, thousands and thousands of servers, let's say we can dedicate just one server for database servers, file servers, another server for domain controllers and some other servers, and just one server for workstations and workstations. So it again depends on your infrastructure. So this is all about autonomous mode. So it can be somewhat like this. This will be your upstream server, so you can configure replica mode or autonomous mode as per your infrastructure and as per the physical location of your site or as per your offices. Or it can be somewhat like this as well, or somewhat like this. It depends on the physical location and the logic behind pushing the updates, or it can be somewhat like this. So it again depends on the architect who wants how the updates needs to be pushed to what kind of workstation or servers. So let us see the summary, today's summary. So we started with the basic terminologies and concepts in WSUS. So we understood what is root WSUS, upstream WSUS, downstream WSUS, and we also understood the WSUS hierarchies, that is replica mode and autonomous mode. So our next session would be very interesting. We'll managing WSUS client computers and WSUS computer groups, and we'll understand WSUS groups, client side targeting, server side targeting, and we'll take some real life examples. So thank you for joining today's session. Hope you learned something and you enjoyed it. And if you feel this channel is helping you to learn anything new, please like, share and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.